woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, you lying sack of It was mixed drinks, not mixed races. True, though, Joe may be demented, but I guess being a conniving, race-baiting loon is the last thing to go. Biden also trashed Trump, asking why he's going after people.
You won't believe what happened when Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly ripped into The View after Joe Biden's latest interview train wreck. It was like they had front row seats to a political circus and brought the popcorn. What followed? A savage roast session that left The View scorched like never before. Buckle up. This might just be Gutfeld and Kelly's new favorite hobby.
Start with what just happened over the past 62 minutes on The View. And it's not even one of my wacky View clips for you where we just make fun of Sunny or Joy. I mean, we love those. But this is like legit Joe Biden, who's on, well, you guys will tell me what he's doing here. And I'll tell you what Mark Halperin says. He's on some sort of a rehabilitation tour. Well, okay. Anyway, he goes on to The View, and it wasn't rehabilitative at all.
So there he was, Joe Biden, looking like a man who just realized he left the stove on while trying to answer a simple question. His latest interview? Pure gold. Not in the wow, that was amazing way, but in the how is this even happening way. He stumbled through every sentence like someone seeing the words for the first time. Watching him was like trying to solve a CAPTCHA, but somehow even more confusing. And in the aftermath, Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly were ready. They seized the moment and turned Biden's train wreck into a viral roast session for the ages.
You know who just stunk up The View? The Bidens joined The View this morning for the entire hour. The audience was caught off guard, but knew something was up when they saw a dozen Secret Service agents and 2 embalmers. There were a few awkward moments, though, when a confused Joe asked if he could bid on the showcase. But was he surprised, Kamala?
Now, if you've ever wondered what would happen if a TV host and a stand-up comedian had a child who grew up to be the ultimate roast master, that's Greg Gutfeld. He's built a career turning awkward political moments into pure comedy. Gold. When Biden's interview bombed harder than an open mic night in a ghost town, Gutfeld didn't just hop on the bandwagon. He bought the whole bus and took The View for a wild joyride.
But more, speaking of those around him who covered up his infirmity, or at least that's where my mind went, Dr. Jill was there too, and as usual, came to the rescue. Watch SOT 38.
A lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in interest of time.
The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president.
She says none of these people writing the books worked for us. Well, one of the first to have his book hit interviewed Ron Klain, who was Joe Biden's chief of staff for almost all of his presidency. And he went on the record saying that Biden thought he was president of NATO. Where was that follow-up, ladies of The View?
Gutfeld's commentary wasn't just criticism. It was like watching someone light a match and toss it onto a pile of dry leaves. You could see the smoke, feel the heat, and sense an explosion coming. He wasn't merely mocking Biden's endless verbal misfires. He was throwing a full-blown roast party, and The View was the main course. The show, often touted as a beacon of enlightenment and womanly wisdom, tried to spin the interview meltdown, but Gutfeld wasn't buying it, and made sure no one else did either.
About The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and 2-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost.
Honestly, if The View were any more smug about Biden's performance, they'd have their own wing in the Louvre. But somehow, no one on that panel seemed to notice the train had completely derailed. Instead, they were too busy pretending it was just a bumpy ride, that's when Gutfeld sank his teeth in. He wasn't just pointing out Biden's blunders, he was dragging The View for acting like the world's most loyal PR team for a guy who couldn't finish a sentence, if it were gift-wrapped and hand-delivered. With surgical precision, Gutfeld flipped the script, making it sound like The View themselves were driving that runaway train straight into chaos. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. They were too busy spinning narratives while Biden accidentally spilled the country's coffee all over the front seat. But let's not forget Megyn Kelly. Oh, Megyn Kelly. If Gutfeld brought the fire, she brought the gasoline and made sure it burned in the most spectacular way possible. She has this rare gift, blending sharp critique with a calm, smug, "I told you so," that hits like your cooler aunt roasting you with a smile. When Biden's interview went up in flames,